game as we expected, and a lot of unusual events, a lot of different things that happened out there with the rotation, et cetera. And, the first half was okay. We got a good start. And then at halftime, we were getting clobbered on the boards. In the second half, we made a much better effort on the boards. Myles had 10 rebounds in the second half. And, he did not get a single rebound in the first half. So it was something that, he took the challenge in the second half, and he was tremendous. And, our bench defensively was unreal out there. Nembhard and Bruce playing with Drew is, it's as good as we got for defense in the backcourt. And I thought Mathurin was terrific. It looked like a replay of the Milwaukee game. So we had a situation tonight where, Jalen and Isaiah played together because of their size. Went to it a little earlier in the second half because of fouls, and they were very effective in the first half, and they came up big. So, we needed everybody. Everybody did what was necessary. Somehow or other, we got a good deficit at the end of the game, and all that stuff matters. It just makes it a little wanky, when you're trying to score more points to get a greater deficit, in a regular season game when, it's just not the usual protocol. So it's a little weird. Some things about it you don't love, obviously, but that's what we needed to try to do. And so, the result was good.
Rick, that group late that you just talked about defending so well with those three guys on the perimeter, did you change something? Did they just lock in? What do you feel like led to their success on that end of the floor?
Well, coming into the game, we had a staff meeting this afternoon, talked about possible rotation, and there were some scenarios. One was Jalen playing 4. There was even, him playing 4 was a possibility. We knew that he and Isaiah were pretty good together. They were last year. But this year is so much different than last year. There's just a different feel to it in almost every way. But we knew they were going to be physical. We knew they were going to be highly motivated, which they were. We knew that Cunningham was a great young player that we were going to have to deal with, and he had 22 at halftime. And at halftime, I said to Bruce about a minute and a half before the half started, I said, "This is why we brought you to Indiana. You've got to do a job on Cunningham. You just got to make it difficult." And he and Nembhard made it really difficult. The guy had 9 points in the second half, and that was a big key to the game as well. So I really respect Detroit and how hard they play. They're young. They're missing some of their key guys. They made this as difficult a game as you can possibly have. They really did. And 1 point going into the fourth, is tough.
You said a team meeting led to it, but you hadn't played Isaiah and Jalen together the season before tonight. Was it Detroit's size, or what was the reason for that? And how do you feel like they did together because you kept with it for so much tonight?
Well, Detroit's size and Nesmith being unavailable. We looked at some different scenarios in the Toronto game, and we just felt we needed that this was another very long, physical, athletic team. And so, we gave it a pretty aggressive look early. Those guys responded well. Jalen and Isaiah have a good feel for playing together, and so it was a key element to the game.
You to go 4-0 in the group play stage of this tournament.
It's significant. It really is. It guarantees us one of the top 2 spots. We don't know whether we're going to be 1 or 2, but we do know that we'll be hosting the first knockout game here at Gamebridge, and that's enormous for our team, for the organization, for ownership, for our fans. And And so that's going to be another opportunity for us. So that's a little ways down the line now, but I'm real proud of the guys and the effort that they put into this. These games are hard games. Winning at Philadelphia is really difficult to do. Winning in Atlanta in a game that goes over 300 points scored and you're looking down the barrel of Trae Young and DeJounte Murray. I mean, that's big time stuff. And so we're in a good position, but as always, it's no time to exhale.
So you mentioned Bruce. Obviously, Andrew comes off of missing 3 games with a lower back, and lower back pain is not fun at all. He goes for 13 points, 4 assists, and obviously 3 offensive rebounds, and obviously the really good defense in the fourth. Just what impressed you about him just all around in terms of what he brought after missing some time?
It just brings another physical perimeter defender and playmaker. And, Drew was key in this game. Mathurin had another great game. And it's been an up and down start for him, but as I've continued to communicate with him, this year is not last year. Last year is in the past. Last year was totally different. I mean, this year has much greater meaning, and so it's not going to be the same. It's not going to feel the same. It's harder. It's harder. Teams are coming at us. We're the highest scoring team on the planet. I mean, teams are loading up, trying to figure out ways to slow us down. And, it's not like last year, which was really a developmental year where we're just throwing guys out there to get to, let them get experience, So, but tonight he went in the game with force and a level of determination that was really key to this victory.
To keep going on him, I mean, he goes 12 minutes in that fourth. He only scored 2 points, but it seems like it goes back to what you've said to him before about being able to affect the game without scoring. Again, just what does that whole period say about his maturity and how he's figuring that part out?
If you look at the end of the Milwaukee game and you look at this game, particularly in the second half, and look at Ben Mathurin, you're looking at a guy that can be a really good two-way player in this league, who can be a force on offense, which he is, and also a force on defense. And so, I was just real happy for him. This is who he is. He's a ferocious competitor that loves the moment. And so, being a big part of this is really cool.
And the other guy, you mentioned him before, I want to go back to him, was Myles again with, I think he had 10 and 7 in the fourth alone. Just what stood out to you about how he shook off the foul trouble in the first period and the first half and was dominant?
I mean, Myles is an experienced guy, and he was probably thinking a little bit about the second Philadelphia game where the same exact thing happened. And, you got to stay ready. You got to keep your mind into it. And when you go back on the floor, you do what you do. And if there's certain things that are needed, like rebounds, you find a way to get it done. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, his offensive rebound dunk was huge, got the crowd into it, and then he had a couple of tip-ins. He was a major force in the fourth quarter, and when Obi came back in, he was terrific too. Hit a big shot, rebounded, ran, so a lot of good things were happening, but Detroit, they made it hard.
Rick, Buddy surpassed 9,000 career points tonight with the way he scored and shot the ball over the past 3 games. Just what does that suggest about the type of scorer he is in this league?
He's only got 9,000 points. I would have thought he had more, but that's a joke. No, it's a milestone. And look, before he's done, he'll be one of the most prolific 3-point shooters in the history of the game. That's going to happen. There's no over under on that one. That's going to happen. And so I didn't realize he was close to that milestone, but congratulate him on that. And You know, he didn't play the kind of game that he played in the last couple in terms of, you know, shot making and all that kind of stuff. But he was locked in, and when he wasn't in the game, he was great on the bench, and he's been one of the leaders of this team.